Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to those that are just joining for the first time. As you guys can see, I have changed locations and that's because I had a room makeover. So now you can see my verse behind me. It's one of, I think it was this first or the second one that I learned when I started my relationship with God. And it's when I am afraid, I will trust in you. Psalms 56:3, if you can see it behind me. But yeah, sorry, just thought I'd pop that in there. And my sister designed it, Rianne, who's done a testimony, so go and check that one out too. Yes, so this testimony vlog is going to be my one, so it's not from anyone else, it's mine, and it's a continuation from the one that I did like 2 vlogs ago. So if you don't remember that one or you've never seen that one, please go and check it out. It's linked in this video so that you know where this one's going to continue from. But I hope you guys will be blessed for what I have to share with you this time. And now this is my story. I've started back at uni and I'm starting to come to terms with the pain. It's not a good thing, but I've had it for such a long time that at this point I was kind of getting used to it. So I think, yeah, so I was doing pretty well at university. I was still in and out of university because I was still in and out of hospital, but I was kind of getting used to it. I wasn't feeling as I felt the first time. So that was the 2nd of December. I can't remember, but it was at the beginning of December. So Saturday. And I was getting phone calls from family members. Like, my family speak to me, but it was just people that I didn't expect, and I was like, why are they calling? Like, not in a rude way, but just like, why is everyone calling? But because we were kind of running up and down the whole day, we only got to rest after the program, the investiture service had finished. And then I got a call from my uncle, I think it was, and he said one of the most like hardest things for me at that time. He said, I went round to your granddad's and he's in hospital now. And my heart kind of just stopped and I was like, what do you mean granddad's in hospital? Like, what happened? And I started to panic because all this time I'd been busy with all these things and then something had happened to granddad. So he started describing what was happening, and he basically said that he had gone to my granddad's house, he was with him, he blacked out. And this, for me, I was just like, oh my gosh, what's happening with my granddad? Like, I started to stress. Even talking about it now, like, it's making my heart race. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And then I was like, and then I went to my auntie. I said, auntie, uncle has just said that granddad's in hospital, we need to go. And just it being such a nice day, and then hearing that, it was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what to do. I just started crying, like excessively crying. And I was like, oh no, like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Then I was speaking to my mum. My mum's in London, was in London at the time. So she's kind of stressing out. And I was like, okay, I'm trying not to be stressed. I'm trying not to cry. I'm trying not to cry, so that she doesn't feel worried. So we quickly ran to the hospital. And when I saw my granddad, who was the same chirpy but also slightly savage granddad I know, so I felt a bit better about it. And I was still obviously having appointments at this time. I had started back at university, so it was coming back and forth, and that was basically for most of December, back and forth to the hospital. And myself not being well, it was very like taxing on my body, but I was like, I need to see my granddad, I need to make sure he's okay. So he was okay for about 2 weeks. And then we were in, I think, yeah, we were in Preston. I think we were in Preston at the time. I can't remember exactly. But basically, it's just long story short, me and my family, so I was with my family obviously around the Christmas period, but Christmas wasn't like how Christmas usually is, because my granddad was in hospital. We always spent Christmas with my granddad and my auntie, her kids, so all of my family, so my mum, my dad and my sisters. And Christmas just wasn't the same. People had to keep staying with my granddad, and sorry, reverse backwards. My granddad blacked out when my mum went to see him in hospital. So my family were like, you know what, that's it. So all of my cousins from up north were like, okay, we need to be on duty, like to be with granddad to make sure that he's okay and he's doing well in hospital. So we were doing that. So obviously when Christmas came, go back to where I was before. When Christmas came, we didn't actually spend time together because some people were doing night shifts, some people were doing the day shifts, just staying with granddad, making sure he was okay in hospital. And I think on Christmas Day, my auntie was the one taking the shift for Christmas. So we didn't spend time with her, and Christmas just felt so weird. It did not feel the same. And that in itself was a very difficult thing because I loved spending time with my granddad and all my family during Christmas. But I did not know that the worst was yet to come. So Boxing Day in my family, and we have this big tradition that, okay, we don't see everyone on Christmas. Like, it's just usually my auntie, my granddad, my uncle, his kids, my auntie and her kids, obviously, because we all go to my auntie's house, and then my family as well. So my sisters, my mum and dad, and then on the Boxing Day, all of the family come together. I have a lot of family, guys, a lot of family. So on Christmas Day, it would be very hectic, but we all come together to my auntie Paulette's house, and we just like celebrate Boxing Day. And yeah, it's just nice just to catch up with family because you don't get to see everyone throughout the year. So Boxing Day is like the big one. But that year, Boxing Day was not the same. Basically, so the shift was going and everything, and as I said, my granddad was doing well at first, as I thought, and then I call it the big crash. Basically, Boxing Day came and my granddad just stopped being responsive, and all his vital signs started to go down. They're like, oh, we're not sure if he's going to pull through. And I tell you guys this, it was the scariest thing ever. Like, everything just basically like flatlined, and all of my family came together on Boxing Day at the hospital, bearing in mind he only allowed like 2 visitors. But at this point, my granddad had been transferred into like a private room, and he crashed, and then we all rushed to the hospital, obviously, because they're saying, oh, we don't know if he's going to pull through for this. We don't know what's going to happen. So we all came, and they allowed all of us because obviously they didn't know if my granddad was going to survive. And that Boxing Day was one of the hardest Boxing Days, like one of the hardest days for me personally, and I know for my family, because my granddad, like, it's just I don't even know how to describe him, but he was just amazing. And yeah, so we all went to the hospital on Boxing Day, and we're just like, everyone was like crying, even seeing my aunties, my mum, well, my auntie, to be honest, because my other auntie that I was going to church with, like, I don't know how she does it, but she's so strong in those situations. But all praise to God for that. And so everyone was really upset, and it was just so hard to see like my family so heartbroken. So they decided to resuscitate him, and so they resuscitated him, and praise God, he came back. And like, even though he seemed so weak, after a few days he started to like chirp up a bit. But it was just, that was very tough for me at that time. It was so scary to see and something to witness, just seeing, and then doctors running in and out of the room, and that makes me panic even more. So we all were, as I said, all there. Then Granda started to come back around, and everyone was like, okay. And then I don't know if it was the same day or a few days later, when Granda started to perk up, they basically said, if oh, and I forgot to mention, he actually ended up in intensive care for a little while, and then, as I said, he started to get better, and then that's actually when he moved to the private room. And then they basically said to him, I think it was my mum and her siblings, if he crashes again, they don't think there would be any reason to resuscitate him because he's getting weak. I think at this point he started to have like kidney failure and other things. Even his foot started to go black, like it was dying. My granddad, who was always cooking, always doing everything, something that you wouldn't expect for a 90-plus-year-old to be doing, and then just to see him laying in the bed, it was hard. But I was so thankful to God that we didn't lose him on the 26th. So then he started to get better, but he stayed in hospital. And then I think around, so me and my family came back to London. And the 1st of January, I also remember this like it was yesterday, it was horrible. The 1st of January, I found out, so whilst my granddad was in hospital, sorry, I keep going all over the place, but whilst my granddad was still in hospital, he got an infection. So fast forward, the 1st of January, guess who gets the infection too? So I ended up getting the infection, and I started, like, not to be disgusting, but I kept vomiting and vomiting. I couldn't hold anything down. I drank something, it came back up. I ate something, it came back up. But we also have another tradition, just like me and my immediate family, and that is that we go to my mum's friend's house for dinner, because it's also my mum's birthday. So she kind of started doing that so that my mum wouldn't have to cook on her birthday when we were younger. So we were going there, but obviously me being sick, I was like, I don't know if I can go. I felt horrible. I felt so weak, but eventually God like eased that pain, and we went to my auntie's, so my mum's friend, but I call her auntie, and we also had my auntie's kids, so my auntie from up north that I go to church with. We also had them in London because my auntie, so my auntie Paula, the one that's up north, she decided to stay with granddad just in case, so that he wasn't by himself on New Year's Day. So we went, but even as we're enjoying stuff, I felt so guilty for enjoying it, because knowing everything that granddad was going through and just constantly being scared that he's going to crash, because the kind of thing that they put in my head, and probably in all of my family's head, was that he was going to crash again, because they already said that they're not going to resuscitate, most likely not going to resuscitate again, because his heart probably couldn't deal with it. So yeah, oh gosh, so that in itself was just difficult. I couldn't concentrate, and obviously I wasn't feeling well, but everything was going fine. And then we decided to go back up to Preston. I could not remember why we went back up to Preston, but we all went back up to Preston. I think because my granddad started to get worse again. And then, oh gosh. And then I remember so we were praying and praying and praying and praying for granddad, because as I said, he started to get worse again after New Year's. Praying and praying. My cousin from Jamaica was over, so we were praying with her constantly, me and my sisters and my auntie as well, just praying for granddad. And then oh gosh, the first part of the year's not been good for me, as you can see, guys. But I remember the 7th of January 2018, and it was late at night, and then that night, I mean, so it was the day before I was about to start back for the new year for university, and I can't remember who called us, but me and my sisters were at home, but my mum and her siblings all went to the hospital. And then someone called us and said that granddad had passed, and then all I could hear was people crying in the background. My mum was crying, and then obviously my sisters were all together, and we just started crying. we started crying. It was so difficult. And then I remember I called Natalie and I told her, and I couldn't stop crying on the phone to Natalie. I was like, I can't believe this. We've been praying for so long for my granddad, and then to hear this, it was just too much. My heart, I didn't know what to say. I just felt frozen. And the whole of the atmosphere changed because, as I said, I already felt guilty for celebrating. And then to hear all of that news, and then just to know that there was just the constant up and down and the constant worry of what was going to happen to Granddad. And then to hear that news was just, as you can see, like I still struggle with it now because I realised how close I had gotten to Granddad, going to university near where he lived and then living with him. And I was like, God, I'm gonna miss him so much. And the reason why for me it was even harder, and the reason why I still find it kind of hard, it's gotten easier with God helping, but the reason why I found it so hard is because after the time when I got the infection, they said to me that I was not allowed to go and see my granddad again, because they said if he catches anything, that it could do a lot of damage to me too. But I just remember that day, and it was one of the hardest days. Even after getting all the stomach problems, it was probably one of the hardest days. And even now I'm thinking about it, I just miss him so much. But there's a verse that I want to share with you guys that, especially during that time, gave me hope. And it's from Revelation 21 verse 4. And it says, God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, no more sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. And I just want to encourage you guys that have maybe lost people during this pandemic, whether it's to the virus or not, or just lost people in general that are still struggling, because as I just said, that was 2 years ago, but I still struggle with it. And I just want to encourage you guys all that there's going to be a time when this is not going to be anymore. There's not going to be any crying, there's not going to be any death, none of that. All of that is going to be gone, and that is because of the victory and the hope that we have in Jesus. Because of Jesus and what he's done for us, we know that day is going to come. And I just really want you to be encouraged. I know it's hard. I understand that it's hard. I really do. And it hurts like crazy. But God is still good in those circumstances. And he is still working. He's still caring for you, loving you. Because I know how much he helped me and my family through it all, through those period of time. And there's even more to add on to this, but it will be probably in another vlog about this, because this one I don't want it to be super long. But I just want you guys to understand that even if you're struggling in any area, it doesn't even have to be in losing a loved one. You just need to trust God in what he's doing, like honestly and completely just trust God. And as I said, I did feel hurt, because I'm like, God, I prayed for Granddad, and there was even someone that I kind of read their story on Instagram, and they had been praying for a parent and their parent still died. And sometimes we can wonder, God, but we've been praying, you've told us to pray, you say that you answer. And it's something that I actually heard one of my friends say, and it was that sometimes, I think they wrote it, sometimes we're under the illusion that because we don't get a yes, it means that God hasn't answered. But God answers, and he knows why he's doing what he's doing. And at the time, I didn't understand why God would allow Granddad to be taken. But you know what? He was in pain. And it was selfish of me. As I said, you do not get this recognition straight away. But it was selfish of me to want him to stay alive, but to be suffering. And it even got to the point where they were saying that he would need full-time carers. And my granddad never wanted that. My granddad was an independent man all of his life, and he never wanted that for us to be looking after him, and he didn't want to go and be a burden to anyone else. But I just encourage you guys, just trust God. It's going to be difficult. You're going to go through difficult times. We all know that. We are all experiencing it in the midst of this pandemic. But God is faithful to us. God cares about us. God loves us. And as I've just read, he promises us that one day all of this will be no more. All the pain that we feel, what will pain be? All the sorrow that we feel, what will sorrow be? Death, what will that be? And I can't personally wait until that time. So just keep trusting in God, keep praying. And as I said, if there's anything you guys want to talk about, if there are any prayer requests, please get in touch with me. Because one thing that I loved my church family for is that they prayed for me. They checked up on me. They cared for me in this difficult season. And as I said, I'll go into more detail in another vlog. I don't want this one to be so long, so this will be like a part 3. And the next vlog will be a part 3. But yes, please do get in touch. Do not just sit there and be by yourself, because I care for you. And as much as I don't even know everyone that watches this, I know that God knows you and he cares for you. So please, I pray that you guys were encouraged and that you guys will continue to with me on this journey. It's difficult. I cried a little bit, but you know what? I'm just being open and honest with you guys. So I really hope you guys were blessed and encouraged. And I will see you guys for the next one. And don't forget to continue to support by liking, sharing and commenting. And please don't forget to subscribe too. And hit the notification bell too, so that you're updated on my next vlogs to come. So I hope you guys were blessed. Bye.